Okay, now we are going to discuss a question binary flip from Codechef started to 1. So in this question, we are given a string s of length n, and let's say c0 is the count of substrings 0, 0 in s, and c1 is the count of substrings 1, 1 in s. Okay, and we need to perform one operation, that is from changing 0 to 1 or 1 to 0, and our task is to find the minimum number of flip operations that are required for us to make C1 greater than or equal to C0. Okay. So by performing minimum number of operations, we need to convert the count of ones greater than or equal to count of zeros. So let's take one example to understand more about it. Let's say a string s is 0, 0, 0, 0. Now in this string, the count of substring C0 is 1, 2, 3. So we have three substring which are 0, 0, and count of substring 1, 1 is 0. Because we don't have any substring which is 1, 1 in S. Now, let's say I'm trying to change a flip operation which is changing this 0 to 1. Then my string will look something like this. Okay. So if I change one character to 1 by a flip operation, then the number of substring I have 0, 0 will be 2 now, and C1 did not change. Now C0 is still greater than C1, so I need to perform one more operation. And if I perform this operation, if I want to flip this second character, then it will look something like this. Now here I have one C1 and I have one C0. So now if you observe, C1 is equals to C0. Now here I need two operations. So I perform two operations to make C1 equal to C0. Okay. Now let's say my string s is something like this. Now here the count of zeros is equals to count of substring 0, 0 will be 1, 2, 3. So I have 3 C zeros. And how many C1s I have? 1, 2, 3, 4. I have 4 C1s. Now here C1 is greater than C0. So I need not perform any operation. So my operations will be simply 0. If my C1 is initially greater than C0, I need not to perform any operations. In that my count of operations will be, or the minimum operations will be 0. But let's say my string s is this. So we need to find how many minimum operations are required. Now before taking this as an example, let's try to understand by taking a string of length of 3, and whatever conclusions we will make from it, we'll apply the same thing for this given string s. Okay, so let's say my string s which is of length 3 will be this. Okay, now here my count of zeros will be 2 and c1 will be 0. Now if I optimally choose to flip a bit, to flip something to 1 to 0 or 0 to 1, here I will always choose flipping 0 to 1, because I need to convert or I need to perform minimum operations. So if I choose the optimal one, then I will choose the middle one. In that case, my string will look something like this, and my count of 0 will become 0 and count of 1 become 0. Here both are zeros, and both are equal. So the operations I have performed is only one operation. Okay. But what if I choose the first one or the last one? In that case, I need to still perform two operations. I need to perform two operations. Let's say if I choose the first one, then my string will look something like this. Then C0 will be 1 again, and C1 will be 0. And so that I have to again perform flipping the second one. But if I optimally choose the middle one, then I need to perform only one operation. So in a similar way, if my string S is 0, 0, 1. Here my C1 is 0 and C0 will be 1. Now, if I optimally choose, I will try to choose again the middle one. Now, if I choose the middle one, my string will be 0, 1, 1, where my C0 will be 0 and C1 will be 1. Okay. So here again I performed only one operation to make C1 greater than C0. Okay. But if you observe one thing here in the two below answers, here initially C0 was 2 and it changed to 0. And here C0 was, sorry, C1 was 0 and C0 was 1. And by performing one operation, my C0 became 0 and C1 became 1. It means here the answer shifted by plus 2. Here it decreased by 1 and increased by 1. So the absolute change is again 2 here. And here it was also 2. Okay. Sorry, here it was minus 2. And here it was 2. So the absolute change is 2 in both the questions, in both the uh, strings. Now in a similar way, for this string, if I optimally choose it, let's take this string. Now, for this, if I optimally choose certain bits, I choose this one. So initially my C0 is will be 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I have 5 C0s and C1s will be 1. Now if I choose this bit, then my C0 will decrease by 1 and C1 will increase by 1. Correct. Now, in a similar way, if I choose one more bit, this bit, my C0 will decrease by 1 and C1 will increase by 1. So, I only perform two operations here again. So, every time, if you choose a bit and if you choose an optimal bit, then there will be certainly plus 2 or minus 2 to the final answer of the bit changes of C0 or C1. So, the solution will be very simple. We need to count how many C0s are there in S and how many C1s are there in S. And the absolute difference, C1 minus C0 by 2 will give us the answer. Means this many number of operations we need to perform in order to make C1 greater than C0. Because every time there is a bit change, how many values how many values are getting changed? Two values are getting changed. Either C0 is decreasing by 2 or C1 is increasing by 2 or C0 is decreasing by 1 and C1 is increasing by 1. So these are four things that happening in our code or in our approach. So the number of minimum operations will be difference of count of 1, sorry, count of zeros minus count of 1 by 2. Thank you.